The Wagner truck is equipped with a full functional fire prevention system OxyReduct and a cabin to demonstrate the system. Wagner uses this truck for road shows throughout Europe and at exhibitions like the Spit in Hanover or the Security in Essen. Visitors will be invited inside the cabin. Then the following OxyReduct video will be played. During this time the oxygen level inside the cabin will be reduced from normal atmosphere to 15 volume% oxygen. At the end of the video the visitors will be asked to ignite their lighters. Everyone get the experience that a fire cannot break out in this environment. Now you can enjoy the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board our fire protection company. We'll shortly be underway, en route not to foreign cities or distant cultures, but to a scientific experiment. While you sit back, relax and enjoy the flight, we'll be making constant adjustments to the oxygen content of our cabin to reflect the simulated cruising altitude. Our experiment, this much we can now reveal to you, is very relevant to our topic. In particular, with the question of what happens when the oxygen content of the air drops by a few percentage points.
The aim was to ensure that there would never be a fire here. I can't even hazard a guess at the value, material or intangible, of the data stored here. We rely on our data being securely stored and administered. We have several hundred tons, in some cases several thousand tons of butter stored here. It would be ruined. Preventive fire protection is certainly a higher priority than a fire protection system that only reacts in the event of a fire. Time and time again, fires inflict colossal damage to production and storage sites, IT and telecommunications areas, office buildings and cultural assets. Irreplaceable valuables can be lost forever. In the past, the aim of every firefighting system was to extinguish the fire as quickly as possible. But Wagner has taken this one step further. With OxyReduct, a fire cannot even get started. How does it work? Every combustion process needs oxygen. The air we breathe consists of around 21% oxygen and 79% nitrogen and inert gases. If this ratio is changed and some of the air is replaced by nitrogen, the fire has no opportunity to take hold. Either it is unable to continue burning, or the fire simply dies away. And here's the proof. However, people who need to enter or work in such a room will not even notice the altered ratio of nitrogen and oxygen. But how can the OxyReduct fire prevention system ensure a clearly defined low oxygen atmosphere in the long run? WAGNER OxyReduct systems are self-contained systems which can be installed on a modular basis according to individual needs. To reduce the oxygen level in the air, nitrogen must be introduced. This is extracted from compressed air generated by an on-site compressor. The compressed air is fed into a nitrogen generator containing highly efficient hollow fiber membranes. To put it simply, the oxygen is filtered out, leaving nitrogen behind, which is then fed into the risk area. Oxygen sensors installed inside the risk area send data to the OxyControl control panel, where the nitrogen supply is constantly monitored. If the oxygen level rises above the predetermined value, nitrogen is automatically produced and fed into the protected area. Wagner has worked with VDS to determine the reaction of various solid materials with different ignition temperatures at clearly defined oxygen concentrations. The tests focused on materials that are typically found in IT and EDP areas. In archives, and in storage and warehousing facilities. The results were impressive, so much so that OxyReduct was approved and certified by VDS years ago as the first system to provide active fire prevention. Fire tests on the materials stored show that it's no longer possible for a fire to start in this area. This is a security system. It must operate 100% of the time without exception, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If there was any kind of fire, with a foam agent or something like that, our butter would be ruined. Our market position would be in jeopardy if we were out of business for any length of time. OxyReduct is a tried and tested fire protection system. Fires can paralyze the whole production process or key parts of that process, destroy valuable goods, and ultimately threaten a company's whole existence. Investigations carried out by the Gerling Insurance Company indicate that insurance companies, industrial companies, commercial firms and banks can expect statistically to survive a maximum of 5 days if their IT systems completely fail. All the more reason to analyze existing fire and incident risks and to do everything possible to prevent fires. And since the risks of a fire are impossible to calculate, more and more companies are opting for fire protection through fire prevention. They choose OxyReduct, especially for IT, storage and logistics areas, and in archives. The question remains, what happens to people who spend time in rooms where the oxygen content of the air is permanently reduced? We normally operate the system at 15% oxygen concentration, which is the average value that is relatively non-critical for people, but still prevents the outbreak of fire. We've not had any health problems as a result. Our colleagues and staff are able to enter this area after a medical examination so that they can carry out their inspection work. People need oxygen to breathe, more so when they are exposed to physical exertion than when they are at rest. Although our air from sea level up to the highest mountain peak contains a constant 20.9% oxygen by volume, the reduction in air pressure as we go higher means that we get less and less oxygen per breath, a fact that is used in sports medicine to improve performance. When I first go to high altitude or the oxygen is artificially reduced, nothing happens to me at first. The body reacts with a huge number of mechanisms to this reduction of oxygen. We actually have no significant physical reaction up to 1,500 meters. From a medical physiological point of view, the idea of fire protection using oxygen reduction is simply brilliant. As scientific studies show, the circulatory and respiratory systems of healthy people can easily adjust to the modified oxygen ratios. Our body is well able to acclimatize quickly to the new levels. In standardized test series in which the concentration of oxygen is reduced from 20.9% to 15.9% and then to 13.8% by volume, no physiological or cognitive differences in performance could be measured in healthy test subjects. The results of scientific investigation showed that it's perfectly possible to access work areas protected by the OxyReduct fire prevention system, with an oxygen concentration down to 17%. Below that level, down to about 13%, it is necessary for employers to provide preventative medical checkups. Inquiries made at this stage ensure that people with unidentified, pre-existing conditions will not be affected unnecessarily. For all other people, access even to these low oxygen areas is safe. The most important advantage for us is plain and simple. Fires cannot even get started. This has fulfilled all our hopes, and our round-the-clock service is more than satisfactory. The benefits are really ease of maintenance. We chose the WAGNER product, the OxyReduct system, because at the time of building it was the only system that was approved by VDS, the German Property Insurance Association.
Ladies and gentlemen, during this simulated flight, we've created a low oxygen atmosphere in the cabin with the help of OxyReduct. In this atmosphere, you all absorb as much oxygen in each breath as you would in real flight conditions. However, there is a key difference, as the experiment we promised you shows. Please try to light your cigarette lighters. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. Our WAGNER crew will be happy to answer any questions you may have.